Salutations, one and all. This is my reaction and review to RWBY Ice Queendom Episode 2. And I am so freaking excited going into this because Episode 1 was freaking amazing. They did such a great job of mixing together the black trailer, the white trailer, and the first episode of the series, while also adding in just so much amazing context, important moments, and characters who will be relevant, way, way into the future. So, love that. I absolutely love that. I mean, seriously, we got Ozpin and Tai interacting. That's not something we've seen at any part in the main series or any of the spin-off mangas. I mean, we did kind of see them interact in RWBY Chibi, but that is, far from being canonical. So we're just seeing how they interact. I mean, I have so many questions about the relationship, about, what happened between them, and about how Tai really feels about him. But based off last episode, it seems like Tai really does respect the man, which, interesting. Very, very interesting. I mean, that's a topic for a whole other video down the road. But either way, I mean, I think the only problem I had with the last episode was that they really cut down on, the interrogation scene where RWBY first met Ozpin. I feel like there's, so much importance to that scene where, she's actually explaining why it is she wants to be a huntress, talking about her old crusty Uncle Crow, and that just adds so much and foreshadows so much, so I'm a little bummed they cut it out, but, this episode's gonna be, I'm guessing, the Beacon entrance exam ceremony where they have the big fight and need to find their teammates. That could be a great moment for RWBY to explain, why it is she's here and why it is that she wants to become a huntress. Curious. But anyway, let's get into this starting in 3, 2, 1. And right off the bat, I really do love the fact that, the fellow Beacon students are actually, students with bodies. I mean, go back to the second episode of RWBY, the main series of RWBY, and they're basically, black dots with black outlines. I mean, I know RWBY is working with a very tight budget the first couple seasons, but it's just still so funny to go back and see, how simple things looked way back then. And now they have a full freaking anime. Good for them. And hey, they brought back Lisa Lavender. Good for her. Actually, I think she was in the Torchbook book, Roman Holiday. Yeah, Torchbook sent her flowers. That was a very, very interesting scene. I love that. Back when I first watched the main series, White's whole attitude, like, I need to be the best team, I need the best student, I need to be perfect, definitely felt kind of, bratty, like, oh, I'm the princess, I deserve what's best. But, now that we actually see her background, now that we saw her in episode 1, how far she had to push herself to actually be allowed to attend Beacon Academy, and you can literally see the scar on her face right here. It makes so much sense why she's, so forceful, why she's so determined to be on the absolute best team possible, because, she's sacrificed so much for this opportunity, and she can't let it go to waste, and she needs to prove to, herself and her father that she made the right choice. Yeah, they are from the sticks. They are from really, really far out in the sticks. Oh, I love those two. Vomit Boy! Yay, Vomit Boy! And to think that a lot of people ship these two together. I mean, I actually have some theories that Volume 9 might actually lead to the ship sailing, but still, just the opening shot of when they first met makes it so overwhelmingly hilarious. I love it. Seriously? I mean, I know that, she's on the Pumpkin Pete's Marshmallow Flakes, but for Weiss to actually have to look up the cereal brand and realize, hey, wait a minute, that's the girl on the cereal! She's famous! And also just, what the freak is this look that Pyrrha is giving us? Like, oh, I got the candy, I got the cereal. That is weird, that is so overwhelmingly weird. I honestly would love just get a whole flashback of the photo shoot, because I feel like they would really need to instruct Pyrrha how to look like that. How many sisters do you have, Yang? I mean, given Raven's reputation and the fact that Tai impregnated 2 of his teammates, it may actually be more than just RWBY, but still a very weird line. That is sad, RWBY. That is really overwhelmingly sad. Yang is basically your only friend. Oh, poor RWBY. Okay, it looks like they might actually be skipping the whole sleepover part of it where, RWBY first met Blake, and instead she was meeting Blake here on the airship, which is interesting. I mean, it does skip over a lot of elements, like when RWBY accidentally blew up Weiss, and then, Weiss screamed at her about it, and Blake saved her. But, I don't know, I'm curious. The Man with Two Souls. Oh, if only we knew back then how important that book would actually be. Seriously, you're going to introduce her as your cute baby sister? You're trying to make her friends, not trying to, you know... God above Yang, seriously. Wow! Oh, I love Sassy Blake. I freaking love Sassy Blake. I love you, Ruby. I absolutely love you. You're accepting the world, you know, is not perfect, but you're trying to make it a little better. You're here on the front lines to fight and do everything in your power to make sure that everyone gets their happily ever after. In a way, that's also, you know, why Blake is here. She wanted to, you know, leave the White Fang basically for the sake of trying to make the world a better place through more moral and scrupulous means. Aw, Blake smiled. Yay! Oh, now she's not gonna smile anymore. A riot broke out with members of the White Fang forced their ways into a recent faunus rights protest. Interesting. So I guess the faunus rights, you know, aren't a big fan of the violent methods of the White Fang, and so the two groups collided. Very curious about that. Rumor has it they're the most corrupt in the world, and they treat their workers like slaves. And the girl that's profiting from all of that is standing probably about 5 feet away from you guys. Oh, I love that. That's even more brutal introduction to Weiss than, you know, accidentally blowing her up. Then you should know better than anyone that your company is really freaking corrupt. I mean, you might have some pride in it because your grandfather founded it and all that, but your father has run it into the freaking ground. It is now as filthy as they come. Again, Weiss, you know that the lies are actually true. The rumors are true. Your company is really freaking corrupt. And blaming the White Fang is just, you know, honestly below you. I mean, she is actually a faunus. And yeah, saying every faunus is evil is just stupidly, essentially racist. Specious? Just awful all around. Though, honestly, I don't think Weiss has ever actually met a faunus before Blake, so I guess that is a little bit more understandable then. I mean, Ruby, in your defense, nobody in the world can make those two friends right now. It is, frankly, impossible. And I love that you tried so very hard to make it happen, though. Why do I feel like they're gonna be dropped out of the airship right now? I feel like that's where they're going with this. I so hope they do. I really do need to wonder how logical is this whole, oh, you have to partner up with the first person you see. That feels insane. That feels utterly and completely insane. I mean, no, actually in the field, often you have to partner up with huntsmen who you don't get along with, and part of the whole thing about Beacon Academy is that they aren't, you know, prejudiced against faunus, so, you know, putting a racist and a faunus together might help them reach some common ground, might help them understand each other a little bit better, but still, this system just feels utterly and completely insane. Though I have often theorized that Ozpin is actually subtly manipulating the whole test to make sure that people pair up as he desires. I have no proof of that quite yet, but I am almost certain of it. Yeah, I feel like that's something your father would have explained at some point, given the fact that he dated half his team. It feels like that would have been relevant. Oh god, this is actually just gonna be painful. Seriously, this is gonna be painful. Yeah, I'm sorry, Weiss, but that is not what Pure wants at all. She doesn't want people who, you know, value her for her strength, who only see her as this invincible, unreachable goal. She wants, you know, actual friends that she can talk to on the same level. You never liked aren't you wearing a hoodie from that cereal? I'm fairly certain. That feels like such a weird change to make for John's character, to change the type of cereal that he likes. Weird. Very, very weird. God. And Pyrrha doesn't even like the cereal that she's the freaking spokesperson for. I have so many questions about that. I have so many questions about that freaking cereal. I'm also just loving these two meeting each other for the first time. It feels so much more organic and natural and less cringy than the main series. I love it. And Weiss is insufferable. Weiss is absolutely insufferable, though she was in the main series as well. Hey, there we go. The black dots are back again. Just like in episode 1 and 2 of the main series. Alright, I was worried for a second that they wouldn't include the landing strategies, but yeah, they're still gonna fling him off this cliff. Huzzah! Yeah, John, you're probably gonna die. I'm sorry, but you're probably gonna die here. Okay. I don't think I've seen you before. Are you new? Xian Zaiden. Okay, you are definitely new. Interesting. That was a very impressive flip, RWBY. I approve. Hey, Pyrrha saved him. Huzzah! Though I gotta say, he was not that far off from landing. I mean, he probably would have broken a leg, but he certainly wouldn't have died here. Weiss and RWBY! White Rose together! Huzzah! And this is abso-freaking-lutely the last thing Weiss wanted. Well, I guess she could have also gotten paired up with Vomit Boy or Blake, which, you know, probably would have been worse. Though, I mean, in this case, RWBY hasn't actually done all that much wrong to Weiss yet. I mean, in the main series now, she literally blew her up and proved herself to be just an utter and complete, loon? That doesn't really feel like the right word. Dullard? Spaz? Something like that, maybe? I'm not sure. And here, all she really did was badmouth the Schnee Dust Company a little bit while Weiss was nearby without even realizing that she was there. So, yeah, I feel like it's a much better pairing for Weiss than it would be, you know, back in the main series. Also, Weiss, that's not how this test works. You can't just, you know, look for a second partner after you've seen somebody. The rules are very clearly told to you. Do you want to get kicked out of Beacon already? I love it. She came back and dragged RWBY away. Oh, that is always so adorable. And yes, RWBY is a far better choice than Vomit Boy. Though I don't think John actually vomited here. Sad. Very, very sad. Okay, there was some very ominous music playing in the background. I don't recall anything big and bad showing up quite yet, so is that where, you know, this changes from the main series? I'm very curious. That was such a dramatic act break. Seriously? Yeah, RWBY is not slow by any stretch of the imagination. She is fast. She is overwhelmingly, terrifyingly fast. As you just saw. Oh, I love her speed. Oh, and the sass. I love the sass. Also, yes, this is an academy for huntsmen. Are you really that surprised that other people have semblances besides you? Oh, nice teamwork right there. It also feels very, very similar to something that happened in the main series when these two paired up. I know I shouldn't laugh, but yeah, there's definitely some similarities right there. Aww, Blake said something remotely nice. Good for her. Yeah, and that's where Weiss's real problem comes in. She has a lot of training, but not a lot of, you know, real, actual combat experience. And she's too stiff. She's too set in her way. She, you know, sets an attack. She's like, all right, put my feet in the right way, focus on the enemy, charge forward, do the attack. And when something goes, you know, just a little bit wrong, she utterly and completely falls apart and isn't able to improvise. Yeah, Weiss, as a rule of thumb, never use fire in woods. Just don't do it. It's a bad idea. Also, that was some weird ivy moving right there. That was creepy. Yeah, that's some living ivy. That's very, very unnerving. It really isn't. You have more than fire dust. You could have used ice dust, anti-gravity dust, any other type of dust other than fire. Yeah, Ruby is probably strong enough to actually do this by herself. Weiss, you are really underestimating her. While she may be a bit immature, she is powerful. She is overwhelmingly powerful. Well, that was terrifying. Holy mother of God, that was terrifying. And I guess Blake and Yang got to the temple first. Good for them. They are, pretty good pair. They don't really get in each other's way. And they're both, focused on the goal. So, all around a good team. Nora, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to be destroying the ruins during the test. I know that wasn't said, but that kind of feels like an unspoken rule. Okay, so I guess they aren't going to be riding on the giant Nevermore like in the main series. That was always a very, very weird thing that was never really properly explained. I guess RWBY just thought, hey, if we ride on this, we'll be able to find the relic. And then somehow Weiss ended up tagging along. And then somehow they both ended up jumping off of it. Weird. It was funny in the moment, but overall it just made absolutely no sense. Oh, that was a pretty bold move on John's part, running straight into this giant monster when he is so woefully unprepared. Actually, I think about it, they also skipped over the scene where John had his aura first activated by Pyrrha, and she said, wow, you have a lot of aura. Curious. Okay, that was pretty freaking impressive. She literally launched the spear through the thing's entire body and out its backside. Holy mother of God, I love Nora. Okay, that was pretty insane. Reaching into its mouth and shooting its tongue. Oh, that's such a Yang move right there. Alright, time for RWBY's big combo move. Seriously, this was like a highlight of, Volume 1 of the main series. So utterly freaking insane and so beautiful to see actually, being done. Aww, that was nice of Weiss, though it doesn't really line up with what she said before. Though I guess that could just be her, basically trying to overcompensate or reflect because she herself feels like she is incompetent, like she isn't worthy of being a beacon, so she's lashing out at others, like before, how she was lashing out at the White Fang, saying, oh, those dirty animals, those monsters, when she knows, yeah, they're actually pretty right. My father is awful, my company is evil, and them attacking it actually makes quite a bit of sense. Ooh. Oh, poor Weiss. She's a very complicated character. Though, RWBY certainly hasn't been mature this whole episode, which makes sense. She's, 14, 15 years old right now? She is essentially a child, so you can't really expect her to be mature, but if she, wants to lead this team, if she wants to be, the leader of Team RWBY, then she needs to grow up, which is really what the series is about, her growing into the role of being the team leader. Fire! Love it. There we go. Oh God, I love that animation right there. I gotta watch that. Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, that was smooth. And there RWBY goes once again. Firing over and over and over again. Honestly, I almost feel bad for this Nevermore. That is brutal. That is overwhelmingly freaking brutal. Yay! She decapitated the bird. Good for her. And she destroyed an entire cliff. Of course she did. Oh, that was such an anime ending, right? That was such an anime landing right there. Oh, that was beautiful. Oh. And of course, she had a smile at the end. That is so RWBY. And she chuckled. Oh, I love that. I freaking love that so much. I mean, that definitely makes more sense here. I definitely feel like, in the main series, John was way less competent, way less confident, and just was not at all prepared for this. Whereas here, I mean, he's not doing great by any stretch of the imagination, but he doesn't feel like such an utter and complete joke. So yeah, him as leader makes a little bit of sense. Honestly, I think if they'd made Pyrrha the leader, she would have, been driven insane by trying to be perfect, by trying to live up to expectations, and it would have just killed her. Yay, Ruby! I loved how utterly and completely shocked she was by that. I mean, it makes sense. She is, 2 years younger than anyone else on her team, anyone else at Beacon, so it's an interesting choice, and, I mean, while Yang's happy for her, Weiss seems less than thrilled, a little bit disappointed. I'm sure she thought she'd be the leader, even though, Ruby absolutely freaking destroyed that Nevermore. Yeah, Weiss does not seem particularly happy about that decision, which makes a lot of sense after everything I said about her in this video. And also there's something on her neck, which is very concerning, but before that, it did feel like in the main series, this was when Weiss, first approved of RWBY. Though she did end up backsliding on that a bit in the following episode. That was kind of a back and forth, so maybe, in the series, they're just gonna have Weiss finally accept RWBY next episode, or maybe there's something to do with the weird thing on her neck that's gonna, play some sort of role in the future. I'm gonna assume it will. I'm gonna assume that's not, just a scar from battle. I'm gonna assume that's, actually relevant right here. Yeah, especially since they're zooming in on it. Very ominous. Very, very ominous. Alright, and that is the end of the episode. Anything... Ooh, I love them being glowing, figures of light. That's really cool. Anything... Ooh. Episode 3, A Nightmare Comes. Again, so freaking ominous, so freaking unnerving. Alright, anyway, overall this episode, I thought they did a great job of introducing, RWBY to her future teammates in a way that was less comical than it was, in the main series, and explained their behavior a bit more. I mean, again, with the fact that we saw Weiss's background, we saw Weiss's father, that we as the audience know Weiss better than we did when the series first came out, it really means that we see her as a different character, and her actions make way more sense. Though, again, it does feel like they're cutting down the comical effect a little bit. John felt like a more serious character and less like a clown, which I liked. I'm very curious to see how he and Nico act together moving forward. Are they going to introduce Cardigan as a character? Are they going to reveal a bit more about John's background, his history? I mean, his grandfather fought in the big war, but actually, I think about it, John never met RWBY. That was a whole thing, them meeting during the entrance ceremony at Beacon. John gave her a hand after, she almost blew up Weiss. Well, she did blow up Weiss, and then she collapsed on the ground in utter and complete despair. So, yeah, they don't actually know each other right now. I mean, they fought together a little bit in that battle, but curious, that definitely does change their relationship. And depending on how they do things with the whole Cardigan character moving forward, that could really change, what they mean to one another. Curious, very, very curious. But please, let me know what you think about all this down below. What do you think of the adaptation so far? What do you think of the change in tone? What do you think is going on with the thing on Weiss's neck and the new character? Whatever their name might be, they definitely seem, very terrifyingly ominous. How are the changes they made so far going to affect what happens in the future? What's the deal with John and RWBY right now? They don't really know each other all that well, which very, very curious. But please let me know anything else down below. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. And until then, peace.